Today we're talking about psychopaths, these mystifying cluster B types who may in fact be natural born killers. What is a psychopath and how can you identify one? Well, I'm about to tell you. That's what we're talking about today at queenbeing.com. Let's get started. My name's Angie Atkinson, and on this channel I offer free daily video coaching to help you discover, understand, and overcome narcissistic abuse and toxic relationships. If that sounds good to you, hit that subscribe button and let's get going. We all know that there are a number of conditions that are commonly comorbid with narcissistic personality disorder. Over the next several weeks, I'm going to go into each of those in detail. We're going to talk about psychopaths this week. We're going to cover a number of factors in depth, so be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet so that you don't miss one of this series. When I say the word psychopath, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? If you think of a serial killer or some other kind of criminal who is sort of a society outsider or someone who hurts people, you'd be with the majority of the population. But you may or may not know that you could also be married to a psychopath. You could be the child of one, an employee of one. You could be a sibling of a psychopath and not even know it. It turns out that psychopaths are hiding among us in plain sight in our society. And while we may assume that we could spot one without a problem, the truth is that they can be quite undetectable to the average person. One example of a psychopath that I used in a recent video was Gus Fring from Breaking Bad. Remember that show? Or more recently, the AMC spinoff, Better Call Saul. Gus Fring is someone that you would never suspect of being a psychopath. I mean, when you first meet him, he's working at a restaurant and he's like a fair-minded, soft-spoken owner who takes good care of his employees. He is the owner, soft-spoken owner, of a small chain of restaurants that sell chicken. He's unfailingly polite, and he does not seem like he could even hurt a fly, right? But later you see him kill someone with zero regret, no expression on his face of even, he doesn't even seem like he could hurt a fly. But you watch him kill someone like it's nothing. And you watch him clean himself up, take off his pre-planned outfit, which was like a rubber suit or something. Then you watch him clean himself up without a single ounce of remorse or apparent nervousness on his face. Then you might realize, okay, that may be a psychopath, all right? What other examples can you think of in television or movies of characters who represent psychopaths? Tell me about that. Share your thoughts in the comments below and I may use them in a future video. What are the traits of a psychopath then? Well, we're going to start with how a psychopath is diagnosed by a doctor using the Hare Psychopathy checklist to highlight the diagnosable traits of a psychopath. This list was developed by Dr. Robert Hare, who is a psychology professor at the University of British Columbia. Hare has taught and conducted research for more than 40 years now at that university, with most of his career being dedicated to the study of psychopathy. So he knows what he's talking about. So there are 20 items on the checklist, and some of those include things you might have heard with narcissists before, like superficial charm, a grandiose notion of self-worth, the need for stimulation and impulsiveness. That's sometimes a narcissistic trait. Pathological lying, also a narcissistic trait. The ability to manipulate other people. The lack of remorse. The lack of empathy. All sounds like a narcissist, so well, we're going to get to that, okay? In order to determine someone is psychopathic, doctors will assign a score to each of the 20 items on the list. That score is between 0 and 2 points depending on whether the person matches the trait or not. This gives the highest level psychopaths a score of 40. So the most you can score on this test is 40. To give you a little bit of perspective, in the United States, you have to score 30 or above to be considered a psychopath. But in the UK, you can be diagnosed as a psychopath with a score of 25 or above. So I guess the United States is a little more tolerant of crazy. Interestingly enough, many researchers say that psychopaths seem to have a significant amount of charisma, and that they tend to kind of really draw people toward them, or at the very least to intrigue people and make them want to know more about them. So this is probably at least partially due to the fact that they have this ability to charm people and manipulate them. Another reason is that psychopaths are often acting and mimicking normal reactions of the people around them. Studies of psychopaths have found that they also do a lot of mirroring and straight up lying to make people like them more. For empaths and other people who are tuned in, there are signs that can be recognized when it comes to narcissists and also when it comes to psychopaths. They can exhibit fake emotional responses. And we as empaths or people who are tuned in may notice them kind of slip up a little bit here and there. We might notice that they might have a strange tone sometimes, or that their body language is inconsistent with what they're saying. That's part of the reason I do those body language videos, y'all. I think that this is directly related to the fact that while psychopaths can mimic normal emotions and normal reactions, they can't actually quite understand those emotions and reactions. So sometimes you can kind of tell that they're sort of play acting the responses. When it comes to psychopaths and their genuine emotions, you can expect them to be at the very best shallow and usually brief, short-lived. They kind of explode and move on. They definitely have an ulterior motive if they allow you to see their emotions. One of the things that psychopaths will do is they will work on making you like them and trust them. And my gosh, they're good at it. They will charm you by telling you little insignificant secrets about themselves, which are often lies. And they'll offer to help you out with stuff, favors around the house, or loaning them money, for example, or whatever, in order to gain your trust. Later, they use these favors against you. They will either make you do favors in return that you don't want to do or can't afford to do or shouldn't do, or in some cases, they may use those favors to help to get you to manipulate someone else on their behalf or to do something they need done that they don't want to do. There's one of the qualities of a psychopath highlighted. They tend to have a shockingly sharp way and ability to manipulate. They often take pleasure in making those manipulations happen. Like narcissists, they often have that air of superiority about them. But unlike narcissists, it's really hard sometimes to see through it, since they don't really require any sort of validation outside of their own selves. So the issue there is, of course, a narcissist, they need supply. A psychopath doesn't need supply. Also, like narcissists, they lack remorse, they lack empathy. But unlike narcissists, psychopaths only, and let me just stop here. Narcissists are not always psychopaths, but psychopaths are always narcissists. So keep that in mind. When I'm saying narcissist in this video, I mean people who were only narcissistic and PD, narcissistic personality disorder, but who do not have a comorbid diagnosis of psychopathy. Like narcissists then, psychopaths lack remorse and they lack empathy, but unlike a plain old narcissist, a psychopath only feels emotion on a shallow level. Narcissists are totally not empathetic, but they feel their own emotions quite deeply. Like many psychological conditions, there can be a spectrum of psychopathy. On the most extreme end, the psychopaths could care less if you live or die. And it's right there that you find the most violent of the criminal psychopaths, including those who torture and murder people. Now it's time. I'm going to give you the full rundown of the 20 criteria that they use to diagnose psychopaths. Glibness and superficial charm, grandiose sense of self-worth, pathological lying, cunning and manipulative, lack of remorse, emotional shallowness, callousness, lack of empathy, unwillingness to accept responsibility for actions, a tendency for boredom, a parasitic lifestyle, a lack of realistic long-term goals, impulsivity, irresponsibility, a lack of behavioral control, behavioral problems in early life, juvenile delinquency, criminal versatility, a history of revocation of conditional release, broken parole, multiple marriages, and promiscuous sexual behavior. That's all I've got for you today, but one last point I want to make for you to prepare you for the next video in this series. Psychopaths are born, not made, and while their environment could certainly have an effect on their level of violent behaviors, their chemistry could be more powerful than their environmental influences. Next time we're going to discuss how one becomes a psychopath in more detail. This brings me to the question of the day. Question of the day. Do you think that you know someone who's a psychopath? What made them stand out for you? How could you tell? And don't forget, the other question that I asked in this video was, who do you think represents a psychopath in the media today? Share your thoughts in the comments below and tell me what you think. I want to have a discussion about this. I find it fascinating. That's all I've got for you. Like I said, I'm on my way out of here. I'll see you later for another video. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Thanks so much for being a part of my day and a part of my life. And hey, thanks for letting me be a part of yours. It really does mean a lot to me. I'll see you soon. It's my mission to teach others what I know to be true. You really can create the life you want. Take care of your body, take care of your soul, nurture the real you, and introduce him or her to the world. Be comfortable in your own skin and in your place in this world. Take your spot, take it now, and the universe will take its cue from you. You feel me? If so, subscribe to my channel. Let's get it done together.